Well, we are back with another edition. I guess technically this will be the Monday recording, even though we missed the Thursday recording. Who cares? It's we got a long way till January 1st, and the schedule's going to be even weirder. So, for that, remember to like and subscribe, and then whenever you do subscribe, hit the notification bell. That way, whenever our videos are posted, you can see them. Look at that. That's pretty good ads for me. Anyway,
Good.
all right. So let's talk about the news story, and then we'll do kind of a bracket preview, preview or pick, whatever. Who cares? Anyway, but two Georgia football players, Dontrell Glover and Bo Walker, were arrested for shoplifting. Well, I guess last night. It was
Yeah.
reported. It definitely happened in the afternoon. Um, so there's a couple of things. If you read the headline, which is half of my issue with all this, if you read the headline, it looks really dumb and stupid and kind of embarrassing for the University of Georgia and the players themselves. But there was only multiple outlets reported, but they put it behind paywalls. The only one that didn't was Dogs on 3. So that tells you something, but I'm not going to comment on that. But the devil in the details is while they're at Walmart, the self checkout, they missed a few items in their cart. They had well over hundreds of dollars worth of stuff. They were cleaning supplies for their apartment that they live in. And they realized their mistake. They went back into the Walmart, tried to clear it up, asked to pay, and Walmart, whoever the manager was, decided to press charges on both Walker and Glover. And they had a bail of, what was it, $1,500 or $1,300? I know it was over $1,000 for something that was under $100, which is crazy to me. So those are the details, but people are running with the headlines and saying, Georgia's, Mark Richt can't control the roster and he's lost control of
Not
the program.
correct.
I was making a joke.
Uh,
But that's what everyone does, and that because it's easy to poke fun at Georgia when this happens, but devil's in the details, which people and certain journalists, Mark Weiser, don't really care to produce, which is my biggest problem. So I'll let you talk, and then I'll talk about my biggest issue.
well, yeah, I don't know all the details, but you're right. When you look at the headlines, the first thing I thought of was how incredibly stupid. Because I would imagine Bo Walker and Glover probably are getting NIL money, and so they don't need to shoplift. Then when you started telling me the circumstances, and if what you're telling me is accurate, i.e., self checkout, a number of items, and they paid for the vast majority of the items, and there was a couple of items they did not pay for, and then they come back in the store. All this should be on video footage. First of all, I would think.
Well, the checkout has cameras on it that shoot above your head.
No, I get that, but what I'm saying on the outside, if they
Oh
went
yeah,
in
yeah,
the
yeah,
parking lot and then came back in, a lawyer, and that's what I said, is a lawyer for the University of Georgia. If what you said is true, I'm assuming that a good lawyer would be able to take their case and not only win it, but also probably turn around and sue Walmart. Because if they legitimately came back in and tried to make it right, that's not shoplifting. That's making a mistake. And
yeah.
I don't know how many people have been at the self checkout at Walmart. If you got a lot of items and you got somebody breathing down your neck and you're probably half-ass paying attention to who knows what they were doing, and you miss a couple of items, that's a mistake. That's not theft. So I don't know if it's on the other hand, if they legitimately stole items, I go back to how stupid do you have to be, and you have money. If you were broke, it's not justifiable, but I could at least understand it. But if you just went in there and you're getting NIL money and you still shoplift, you're an idiot. So I don't know what's going to play out. And I don't think Kirby's really, has he addressed it at all, or outside of, they're
They
looking
had
into
some
it?
statement that they came out with, but it's in the police report that they did scan all the other. It was 2 items that I forgot, under $100 worth of items. That's what they used.
And their total bill was over 300 or something, right?
Yeah, right.
So I mean, I don't
That's
know.
clearly. I mean, I could be dumb and be fooled very easily. I mean, I have it on good authority and some thorough questioning that this was the case, and it's in the police report. So I have to believe.
Why does a Walmart manager choose? Why not? That's what I said to you. Why not just say, "Hey, it was a misunderstanding. If the transaction goes through, we're good." You know what I mean? Like, if I don't understand why they would want to go take it as far as pressing charges on something like that, especially.
Well, if we're gonna get into this whole thing, I could do a whole Seinfeld bit. What I find unbelievable about Walmart is you go, and especially the Athens one on Epps Bridge, with the same dude who, by the way, I spent a lot of time in that Walmart in my years in Athens. But the same greeter there who has his arm broken, that dude has had his arm broken for 6 years now. He's had it in the same sling for 6 years.
You know what it is? It's M. Walmart's got an M. That's a fake cast. He can pull it out and clothesline people coming through on shoplifting. That's what it is.
But, like, he sees you, he watches you. You can be the closest self-checkout to the exit. And if you don't bag a jug of milk, he will stop you and ask you for your receipt. But he saw you check out the entire time. He was right there. I don't get it. So clearly whoever the Walmart greeter was that day, I hope it wasn't my boy with the arm sling, because he failed his job too. He just let him go.
Well, let's talk about what the ramifications are going to be. There's a good bit of time between now and January the 1st, so I'm assuming more facts are probably going to come out, and I don't I can't imagine them being suspended for something like that.
For shoplifting, it's
a misdemeanor, right? It's clearly a misdemeanor.
Yeah, you run wind sprints for that. You're not going to run stadiums if they did shoplift. I don't think you're going to suspend them for a playoff game because they were retards. Sorry, I wouldn't even understand that.
Well, I'm hoping that the story comes out with all the facts, and they're the facts that you said, because if that's the case, the Athens-Clarke, I don't know if it's Athens-Clarke County or
Walmart.
It was Walmart.
Walmart.
All of them need to be held accountable, because that's silly. If they tried to pay and it was a mistake and you still put them in jail, that's incredibly wasteful of public resources, in my opinion.
Stupid.
Yeah.
But all right, I'm gonna get on my bent, because I feel like I'm the only person out there that is echoing this and who's saying this. But I have a mate. But every time an arrest happens, especially with a Georgia player, and I get it because it's my school, my team. I want these kids to all be, A+ people. So I get that I'm biased. But this has happened time and time and again with the news media that covers Georgia. Mark Weiser, Chip Towers, Alan Judd, who told me I would be nothing, which he might be right. Who else am I thinking of that Seth Emerson? I'll just throw him in because I'm just pissed off. But all these guys write these articles, and the only one, it was Rusty Manziel on 3, and I know Rusty probably jock sniffed. As soon as they got arrested, he was there asking them questions in the jail cell probably. But you have Rusty Manziel and Graham Coffey, and you have some other guys Dean Legge, another one, who reported that this is what happened. This is in the police report. It's, it's kind of iffy situation. They didn't steal on purpose. This whole thing. But the rest of them that I named prior to that all just omitted that fact in their reporting. And, by the way, they put it behind a paywall, which is, like, crazier to me. And it gets to the point where it gives us not only a bad look, but it's bad PR on the University of Georgia's part. And why players talk to these reporters that omit facts, and why the University of Georgia continues to allow certain news organizations to liberally omit facts in their reporting and not be as forthright and honest as they should be, which is the code and conduct of a journalist. Why they let them cover the team and don't disbar them is crazy to me, and I don't understand that.
Well, here's the, and I don't, again, I don't. You're closer to this because you went to Grady, and you've got a journalist background. I do not. I'm looking at it as just an average guy. It seems to me like there's some empirical evidence for what you're saying, because that one guy was at the Alan Judd or whatever you were talking about. He got fired. So did the editor, right? So clearly,
Oh no, the editor did not.
Well, they should have.
Yes.
Because it was. I mean, if he got fired, meaning the writer, whoever was looking over the story and making sure that facts and all that kind of stuff were sourced correctly and all that, they certainly should have been fired too. But it kind of it makes you wonder. And here's the other thing. All those other people, just like me, I'm guilty of it, because I looked at the headline and I just glanced at the headline and then I texted you. I'm like, what dumbasses? Because that's how I felt. If you're getting NIL money and you go to Walmart, you're going to get caught, you dumbass. You also are playing the most meaningful part of your season. You put your team at risk. It was selfish. Now, I didn't have all those facts because it grabbed a headline, a click. And so my thing is, just be factual. You don't have to be first. And I understand that, you got to be first and all that kind of stuff. But man, it's really makes you question the credibility of these journalists that are covering and what their bias is and what their incentives are. If this is not, I mean, why wouldn't you put all those facts out there like that you presented on this? I mean, if those are true facts.
Yes, I could see that not the full story was in the police report. So I get from an Associated Press viewpoint. I'm getting into the weeds of this, but just follow along if you don't understand. But the AP standard of writing, because that's how American journalism writes. That's the standard. I understand. If it's not in the police report, you can't report it. But again, they're omitting facts because I know in I forgot who, but in one of the articles, I think it was Dog Nation. It didn't even say if it was under $100 or what they stole or anything, which was in the police report. So they're just making it. They're omitting facts that were in the police report, either in negligence, or they're doing it on a part to be harmful. And I would assume
spin a narrative.
Spin a narrative, yes, which would be harmful. So somebody, I don't know. I don't understand the background of it, but I don't know how the AJC or Chip Towers, the whole thing about toppers before the guys got into the car wreck. Why does that matter, Chip? Again, these things, I don't understand why the University of Georgia doesn't take a stance. You have a leg to stand on. I guess because we have Grady, which is one of the better journalism schools in the country, and we don't want to, go to war with journalism media. But damn if I wouldn't, because there's just a lot of issues with how they're covered, because no one else in the country gets covered the way Georgia gets covered with their beat writers. And it's the same thing, by the way, with Scovey White going the wrong way. It was, I think it was Mark Weiser who did it, who was like, oh, traffic violation again with a dangerous.
That was the biggest, dude. If you've ever driven in Athens, and Scovey White's from, I don't know where, but he's from South
Georgia.
Yeah. And you've been in Athens, and you know all those places are one way, and they're confusing. It's very easy to go the wrong way. That's not like he was going 100 miles an hour down Broad Street, or you know what I mean?
No, of course not. A 1990 telephone's calling in.
No, I apologize for the phone. I'm not answering it. It doesn't belong to me.
Might be Mark Weiser because we're talking bad about him. But, and Anthony Dasher, shout out. He hates me too. But I just don't really understand at all why we're doing this, and the I don't know. I'm just gonna keep repeating myself. I just don't understand, and why can't we be more critical of it? And then whenever you are critical of it, you're shouted down and cast down for pointing out very obvious stuff. I mean, I was one of the first people that when that whole thing happened with Jamal Jarrett, I was the first person to ever write anything saying this is like really weird. This whole reporting there's a lot of faulty stuff in this. And I got shouted down and cast down by the writer who got fired. But like, why is that? Why am I and like a very select few people saying, hey, this is wrong, and then get shouted down and get told, well, you're the one who shouldn't be questioning stuff?
Because it's just not worth the fight. I mean, that's really.
I know it's over sports, but like there is you know, right and wrong, whether it's politics, sports, you know, life, whatever. Follow it. I don't understand that.
Well, I don't know. But I would also imagine it's the platform in which what we're really saying, and we haven't called it out, but we're talking about the AJC, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So they think about what platform they have versus all the other guys that are reporting on Georgia. You know what I mean? Like, and all the other guys reporting on Georgia, like the ones you mentioned that do a good job, Graham Coffey, Dean Legge, others. They're not going to spend their time fighting that kind of stuff. You know what I mean? No. And Georgia, probably because the same reason, it's just not worth it for them. I mean, just move on and not get in a pissing contest with the AJC.
Even I don't know. I just wish somebody would, because it's so unfair what they're. And by the way, not only are they giving bad press to the football team, Kirby, who's done a lot for our university, the players that do a ton for this university, but it's like it gives bad PR to the entire university itself. Why would you want your kids there? They can't drive right. They're reckless endangerment. They're druggies. They're beating on women. They, sexually assault
looting Walmart.
Yeah, looting Walmart. Like Athens sounds like the Wild West. It sounds like a terrible place. I mean. It's crazy to me, and I gotta tell you, you could walk down the street in Athens and never have an issue. So I don't know, whatever. All right. Anyway, concluding thought: they're not going to be suspended. It's a nothing burger, but it'll be used by idiot Tennessee fans. They're lawless up there, or down there. So that's all they got on us. So good for them, I guess. All right, you want to pick the bracket?
Sure. I'll let you. Why don't you name the game, and I'll tell you who I like in it.
Okay. Do we start by chronological order, or do we start by just how the bracket goes?
Why don't we start with the games that are going to be played first, right? Which is the Oregon JMU, right?
Well, that's not the first game. So the first game is the Oklahoma-Alabama game. At 8 o'clock, it's Oklahoma and Norman. It's a home game.
Because it's a home game, I know it's tough to beat the same team twice. I think Alabama's got problems. They cannot run the ball. I think Oklahoma gave the template to confusing the quarterback, and so I think Oklahoma wins this game. I think Alabama's bounced early on.
Here's the thing. Because Alabama can do enough on offense and has, I would say, a good defense, right? I think we would agree with that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oklahoma doesn't have an
They
offense.
don't have an offense.
Even at home, they don't have an offense, but they have a really good defense. So I would think that Alabama can skate by, um, because they have a better offense, which isn't saying that much, but they do have a better offense. Um, I think this is probably the closest game of the whole first round. I'll go with Alabama to go to the Rose Bowl and play Indiana.
All right. Well, we're on opposite sides on that one.
Yeah. All right. The next game is a noon game. This is probably the next best game. A&M at home against Miami. Carson Beck and the Canes go to College Station. Noon kick. Who you got?
I will say this: Miami does have NFL guys all over the field on both sides of the ball. And if they put it all together, they can give A&M a game. Having said that, I do not believe in Cristobal. I don't believe in Carson Beck. And playing at A&M is going to be too much, so I'm going to pick A&M.
A&M sneaky, not as good as everyone thinks they are. I think they're overrated. I mean, look, the first time they played a team that wasn't in the bottom 7 of the SEC, they got beat. They barely beat Notre Dame. And I don't think Notre Dame should have been in the playoffs. In my dream scenario, by the way, if you want to hear me out on this one, Miami beats A&M, beats Ohio State, then it's Georgia, Miami to
I
the
would
right.
like that.
And then our defense replicates exactly what it did in the SEC championship against Carson Beck. Be very cathartic. And I would like to see his mopey face one more time. But I don't think A&M's that good. And I think Miami's going to walk in there and beat them.
Wow.
I don't. Also, what Marcel Reed are you going to get? Are you going to get the Marcel Reed that had almost 100 turnovers against South Carolina? Or are you going to get the guy in the second half there who looked like a competent quarterback? I have no idea.
I just think A&M's front 7 can get after Beck and cause him to turn the ball over. So
it might be a turnover fest.
Yeah.
That's the other thing, too, about this game. And Miami's defense is not bad. Like it's got NFL guys, like I said. So I'll take Miami. We're on the wrong side of this. Okay. Tulane and Ole Miss. I think this game's interesting. Only really to figure out what does the Pete Golding era look like at Ole Miss. Ole Miss should win. I think we're both on that, right?
Yeah, I mean, Tulane and Ole Miss played, and Ole Miss beat them by 35 points. I mean,
Right.
I can't even understand why. I don't want to get off topic, but this and this JMU Oregon game is such a waste of fucking time.
Yeah.
But the reason, and I said I'm not going to watch, and I probably won't. By the way, do I get lumped in if I watch after like a recording? I don't want to give my viewership during the thing because I don't want to be counted towards shit. So the ESPN and the college playoffs, they're like, oh, we got so many different views. Go fuck yourself. I'll watch. The only reason I want to see it is exactly the reason you said. I just want to see how Ole Miss looks in comparison to when we played them and we went up and down the field, and so did they. I just want to see
Right.
what they look like.
No, you don't count if you watch a recording. But this game can go two ways to me. One, Ole Miss just blows their doors off, and it's not much of a game going into the third quarter, and then it's
They're
Georgia.
going to be playing with a chip on their shoulder because Lane left them. Fuck you. We don't need you. They're going to bury them.
There could be that, or it could be like they just get way into the deep end. They're a lot of inexperience, not trusting the coaches, and then Tulane somehow, and they're off a little bit. and Tulane somehow steals it by like a field goal, which is most likely not going to happen, but it can go that way. Either way, I wouldn't be. If Tulane won, it was like a 3-point game. They won it with a field goal. I wouldn't be stunned by that. I'd be more stunned if JMU pulled off an upset against Oregon, obviously.
I would be stunned in either of those if JMU or Tulane wins. But
Tulane wouldn't be as shocking. All right, so the next round, let's see, January 1st. Oh, it literally goes. Okay, so the 31st, you have A&M, I have Miami against Ohio State in the Cotton Bowl, December 31st, New Year's Eve. Who do you have?
I'm gonna. That's an interesting matchup. And by the way, I will watch that one. Because those two teams, I believe, deserve to get in. Look, if A&M can right the ship and they can quit turning the ball over, and like you said, that quarterback can look like the quarterback that we saw at the beginning of the year, still instead of the tail end of it. I just don't think I really like A&M in that game. The physicality and the speed, like I said, of that front seven, it's going to be different than what Ohio State, and it's in the Cotton Bowl too, right?
Yeah, that would be huge for A&M.
Yeah, it sure would. So give me A&M on that one.
I'll go. I have my now. We're going to get really confusing here, but I have Miami and Ohio State. I think Ohio State is probably the second best team in the country, so I'll go with Ohio State. But if Miami won again, I would not be shocked. Ohio State didn't look all that great in the first time they've played real competition. The two times that they played real competition, Texas and Indiana, both times they didn't look good. So, and I know that was at the beginning of the season with Texas, but this was a Big Ten title game, and they got shut out in that second half of the Big Ten championship. So, I'm not too confident in that pick, but I'll take Ohio State because they have a better coach than Cristobal. All right, Oregon versus Texas Tech, noon in the Orange Bowl. Oregon, Texas Tech, Miami, Orange Bowl.
I don't know. I was probably unfair several episodes back against Texas Tech. I just don't believe in that conference out there very much. I have watched them. I forgot who were they. They played BYU, and I watched some of that game. It's hard to judge that kind of shit. Texas Tech, I guess give me Texas Tech. I look for the hell of it because I've watched them. We'll see what happens.
I'll go with Oregon. I think they're just a better team. I'm with you on the Big 12. I'm not much of a believer. I don't know why everyone's so in love with Texas. I think their defense is good. Like, okay, I don't see it. Maybe they can prove me wrong in this game, and I'll eat crow. But I think Oregon has more talent. By the way, Bear Alexander coming back and staying at the same college. That first time ever since he was like 13 years old and was in middle school that he stayed at the same school. So good for him. Good for him.
Bear found a home.
Yeah. All right. You have Oklahoma in the Rose Bowl against Indiana. I have Alabama in the Rose Bowl against Indiana. Why don't you go ahead first? Rose Bowl, by the way, if I didn't say it. Did I say it?
Yeah. So I'm going to tell you, I'll pick Indiana because I want to kind of see what happens in my bracket. So I do think Indiana's pretty good. I think that Cignetti brings a certain attitude. They're pretty good on both sides of the ball. I think they're pretty complete. I think they played Ohio State and beat them, so they're better than Ohio State. So I'll pick Indiana.
I love Indiana. I really do. I like them a lot. I do wonder, is the Rose Bowl, Indiana? I don't know when's the last. I don't even know if Indiana ever played in the Rose Bowl. I'd have to look that up. They might have like I know in the '60s they had a good team, so maybe they played it then. But even still, it doesn't matter. Is that moment too big, especially for that? Like Mendoza's never played in a game like that, and he's probably going to win the Heisman tonight. There's a lot of stuff that's being thrown on Indiana right now, and that might break them.
So,
But I just don't. Like it's going to be really weird if I pick Alabama to beat them and go basically to the semifinals.
you're a much bigger believer in Alabama than I am.
I just know that they're talented and that they have
they're
a
just
good
another
defense.
SEC team, bro, at this point, in my opinion.
Yeah,
They're good, but they're not that good.
man. Actually, this is a hard game for me to handicap. Uh, for the hell of it, I'll pick Indiana, but just because I like Indiana. All right, then Ole Miss plays Georgia at night on New Year's Day in the Sugar Bowl. Probably going to be mostly Ole Miss fans, if I had to guess.
I don't know. We'll travel. Georgia fans like going to New Orleans.
Yeah, but it's an easy trip from Oxford to New Orleans. So,
dude, do you imagine? Can you imagine the juice with Ole Miss fans? That's the biggest. That's the biggest game they played in a long time.
it's just the last Sugar Bowl they played in against like Oklahoma State with Brother Hugh.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's a huge game for them. Rematch. You go ahead.
I think Georgia is a different team, their defense especially, and I think, honestly, I know I said this, I think, on the last episode, looking back on the season and having hindsight, and we're questioning whether or not, when Georgia's defense turned the corner, I think it was in that fourth quarter against Ole Miss that they kind of grew up. And so I think Georgia should, with the coaching staff changes and all that kind of stuff, I think Georgia should be better than what did we beat them by at home? 14? Did we finally end up?
No, it was 9, and it could have been more.
That's right, 43 to 35, right?
Yeah,
Is that right?
45 to 36, 35. Yeah, something like that.
We'll beat them by double digits this time. So I got Georgia.
I'm in the same boat as you. Kind of like how Indiana, like the pressure, like okay, you win that first round, but now you got Georgia Sugar Bowl. That's a big moment. Do you collapse or not? And for Ole Miss, this is the biggest moment they've had in 15 years. And like you said, Georgia, I think they're a different team. And they're getting healthier. They have this bye. Who knows? Kobe Young could be back. We know Ethan Barbour's probably going to be back. Taylon Taylor's back. Hopefully, I don't know. You're probably not going to see Jordan Hall.
I hadn't heard anything about Bobo either, right?
Yeah, I haven't heard anything about Bobo either. You might have him. But I mean, like, also, here's the other thing about Ole Miss's defense. You are what you are at this point, and there has been zero improvement throughout the season.
And by the way, their defense wasn't very good when Pete Golden was just the defensive coordinator.
Yeah.
So when he's got head coach responsibilities and D coordinator responsibilities, I just don't know how that's going to be in the playoffs. So
yeah, I'm with you on that. Also, Georgia beat him whenever he was defensive coordinator at Alabama. So I mean, I don't think he's that great. So yeah, I have Georgia. I think Georgia. I'm kind of with you, double digits, maybe more. Well, they can't be triple digits.
well,
I think it 2 touchdowns. Whenever I say double digits, I think 2 touchdowns. 2 touchdowns. So, yeah. So more than 14 is what I would comfortably say. All right. Well, now we're down to the Fiesta Bowl and the Peach Bowl. And guess what? Georgia's not playing in the Peach Bowl because if they win, they go to the Fiesta Bowl. And you have A&M in the Fiesta Bowl, and you have in Georgia. I have Ohio State in Georgia, which I'd really look forward to, in the Fiesta Bowl, and that's January 8th. Oof, man, that could be.
I kind of wanted to see because A&M spent a lot of time at the top in the SEC and in the country. I've been wanting to see this matchup. By the way, before we go any further, just about that, they got to do a better job, being the CFP, of putting these games where they make sense. Like, that's crazy to me that we're playing Fiesta Bowl is out in Arizona, right? Isn't that where it is?
Yeah, it's Scottsdale, whatever.
I mean, come on, guys. I'm going to pick Georgia. I think Georgia's defense has turned the corner. I believe that we can get after Texas A&M's offense. So yeah, I'll pick Georgia.
So I have Georgia and Ohio State. Like I said about Ohio State, where the two real teams that they played, they struggled against. And I'm about to bring up something that Ohio State fans and Big Ten fans are not going to like. But the physicality and the speed of which they play is going to be really hard for Ohio State to get. They have athletes, but they haven't seen it in 13 games. So I think it's going to be hard for them to catch that. I think Georgia's going to win. I think Georgia should win fairly comfortably. I got to be honest with you. I'm just not the biggest fan of Ohio State right now. I understood when they played Georgia in the Peach Bowl 2 years ago, or no, 3 years now. I understood why they hung in that game and why Georgia looked so pitiful. But they had something to prove. Ohio State did too. So I'm not that surprised.
I'm going to say again, I don't know if Ohio State got hot at the end of last year, right?
Yeah.
And then they dropped their candy at Michigan. And then Michigan planted the flag and all that stuff. You had all that shit. Then they got, correct me if I'm wrong, but they had to play in the first round, did they not?
Yeah, they played Tennessee in the first round.
So they had a chip on their shoulder, and they were hot, and they were pissed, and they got on a roll and started believing. And, I don't know if they have the same, to your point, I'm not questioning, the motivation and all that. I just wonder if they still get as hungry as they were the year before for all the, they beat Michigan this year, right?
Right.
So they haven't played. You and I agree on that. I just don't think the Big Ten, week in, week out, has the physicality, and I don't think Ohio State's been pushed the way they would, if they get there, that they would be pushed by Georgia. That's the reason I think Texas A&M would beat them. Is the same reason you're saying.
It's not flawed. It's not flawed thinking at all. Also, if you watch the Michigan-Ohio State game, Ohio State had like 6 or 9 plays at the 1-inch line and could not get it in. Could not get it in. So, and Michigan's they're very physical. So, it does not surprise me that they get out physicaled by A&M if A&M does beat Miami, or Georgia if that happens. All right. Shit, dude, this has gotten so fucking confusing. Who'd you pick in the Texas Tech Oregon game?
I picked Texas Tech.
Okay, so you have Texas Tech versus Indiana. Too many red teams. And then I have Oregon and Indiana.
I'm going to pick Indiana over Texas Tech.
Okay, I think that's a good one. I'm also going to pick Indiana over Oregon. Yeah, I would, though. I mean, I wouldn't be that surprised if Oregon wins that game. But I just
they played earlier in the year, right?
Yeah, and Indiana beat them. But the reason why I'd go with Indiana again on that is because I think Mendoza's a better quarterback than Dante Moore.
Yeah.
So there you go. All right, so your national championship. I think we both have the same national championship. So
Indiana and Georgia.
Georgia.
Yeah.
Which is in Miami on the 19th before MLK Day, so before all the big celebration happens. Who you obviously, I think we know.
I think at that. I mean, look, I know I'm a homer, and I was doubting Thomas about this team, but now that I've seen the defense, and if the defense can play at the level I saw them play at over the last 3 or 4 games of the year, and the offense can Gunner's got to open it up a little bit and play fearless and all that. But I just think Georgia can run the ball. They can play really good defense. I don't think they're going to beat themselves. And I think the moment's going to be too big for Indiana. And I give Signetti and that staff and all that a ton of credit. And I'm glad they made it. But I think the story ends there. I think Georgia wins. I think Georgia wins. I don't know. I think by 7 to 14 points.
Well, give a score prediction because if it becomes a tiebreaker, it could.
Oh, let's see. I'm going to say Georgia. I think they got to score 30 to win. So I say 30 to 21.
30 to what? 21?
21.
Okay. I think what you said about Indiana, that moment, if that is the case, they do make it. That moment where you're in the biggest stage of college football, you're going to have all the media attention, all the hoopla, all the circumstance. Indiana fans are going to feel like it's a win, right? Because they're in the championship game. So their season's already been made. It would just be the cherry on top to win it and to beat an SEC team. It'd be a really good story. Kind of like how TCU played, where the moment their first 3 possessions, if they got across the 50 at that point, it might have been a closer game. But that moment was too big for them, and they just pissed down their leg, and then Georgia was
and
not.
They didn't have the athletes, yeah.
They didn't have the athletes, and Georgia was going to prove a point because of their performance in the Peach Bowl against Ohio State, and they just beat the shit out of them. And I think that's very similar to what could happen if this national championship does play out. I think that could be the case. So, even though Mendoza's probably going to win the Heisman tonight, I would not be shocked if he does.
That's who I would pick. That's who I think is going to win it too. That big moment. Who was it against? Who was that against? That last moment touchdown in the back. Yeah, that's right. That's a lot of eyeballs were on that game. So
well, Gus Johnson handed it to him months in advance. So I'll go. Let's see, Georgia. Why not? Georgia, 42. Indy, the Hoosiers, 24.
Wow.
That way I beat your number. All right. So there you go. We both have Georgia winning the national championship. So there we go.
By the way, in addition to that, if you would have told me 3-4 years ago, I'd be picking Indiana to play in a national championship in football, I would have said you're smoking crack. So
yeah,
how fast things can change in college football,
especially in this NIL portal not area. All right, it's been a long day. All right, remember to like and subscribe, comment. I don't know. Give us some of your, upsets that are going to happen. Why not? Screw it. All right. And then follow us on social media at Terminus Sports _ATL on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok. That's Terminus Sports ATL. And remember, hit the alert button because there's going to be a couple videos after this one. So, see you on the other side.
See ya.